There's a quiet ache many carry before they even rise from bed. A feeling of not measuring up, of falling short, of having failed to become who they were expected to be. Perhaps you know this feeling. It arrives with the morning and whispers, "Something's wrong with you." And so the day begins, not with lightness, but with judgment. A judgment that doesn't come from others, but one you've internalized over time, like an invisible scar left by expectations, demands, and comparisons that have etched themselves into your skin. You look around, and everything seems to be working just fine for everyone else. People move through life with apparent certainty, while inside you, something feels fractured. And your mind, always so relentless, asks, "Why is it different for me?" But no one ever told you that the pain you're feeling might not be a flaw. It might be a calling. No one taught you that feeling deeply isn't a weakness. It's sensitivity. That the confusion you're facing isn't failure. It's transformation. You are not broken. You are in transition. In a moment where the old no longer fits, but the new has yet to emerge. And yes, it hurts. It hurts because parts of you resist the end. Parts of you were trained to hold on, to please, to belong. But now something within you is asking for space, for truth, for ease. And this restlessness, this discomfort, this sense of not belonging, it's your soul trying to wake you up. It's whispering, "Don't ignore who you are any longer." In this very moment, everything you feel has a purpose. The discomfort is like the crack in a seed shell, necessary for life to reach toward the light. So if today you feel misplaced, lost, fragile, take a deep breath. Not as someone trying to fix themselves, but as someone beginning to allow themselves to be. Because this process that looks like chaos might actually be the beginning of your wholeness. You are not broken. You are awakening to who you truly are. And that journey, almost always, begins in silence. From a very young age, you were taught to measure your worth by external standards, results, productivity, praise, recognition. They applaud when you succeed. They turn away when you fall apart. And little by little, without even noticing, you begin to believe you must always be consistent, flawless, immune to the soul's natural ebb and flow. When you fail, you feel defeated. When you're discouraged, you blame yourself. When you can't keep up, you feel ashamed. But no one ever told you that real growth isn't linear, that the soul doesn't evolve through goals. It evolves through cycles, that awakening rarely arrives with joy. More often, it comes through pain. And this pain you're feeling now, this discomfort that seems to have no name, isn't a sign you've done something wrong. It's a sign that something deep within you is beginning to stir. It's a sign your essence is asking to be seen. What once made sense now feels out of place. The old masks are starting to feel heavy. The roles you once played so confidently now seem hollow. And so, naturally, the cracks begin to show. Not because you've failed, but because the old structure can no longer contain the version of you that's emerging. It's at this point that many get scared. They mistake collapse for defeat, pain for punishment, sensitivity for weakness. But what's happening is sacred. Life is breaking through the shell of your former identity so that something more authentic can blossom. The discomfort isn't a problem, it's propulsion. It's the invisible force nudging you forward, whispering, "You no longer fit in the space you've kept yourself for so long." To deconstruct is not to lose, it's to make room, to realize that some beliefs no longer hold you, that some paths no longer lead you, that some versions of yourself no longer represent who you truly are. And in that realization, there is power, there is truth, there is a new beginning. So if everything feels like it's falling apart today, remember, this is not the end. It's the preparation for something more real, something that doesn't require performance, but presence, that doesn't ask for perfection, but for the courage to feel. You are not falling apart. You are breaking free. And that is one of the most powerful forms of rebirth. There's a quiet beauty in the way you change, even when you don't realize it. Small deaths and rebirths happen within you every single day. Thoughts you no longer entertain, habits that have started to lose their grip, relationships that once meant everything, now just distant memories. You are slowly emptying yourself of what you are not. And though this emptying may feel uncomfortable, it is part of the journey back home, to yourself. Take a moment and look back. Who were you 5 years ago? What were you chasing? What did you believe you needed in order to be happy? And today, what still remains? What has fallen away? What dissolved quietly, without notice, yet changed everything within? This is how the soul matures, not through grand events, but through a series of subtle shifts that begin to realign your center. Each discomfort, each disconnection, each sense that something is out of place is a reminder that you are evolving. Pain, more often than not, is simply the echo of a part of you resisting the new life trying to emerge. Maybe what's weighing on you today isn't the world outside, but the effort to sustain a way of living that no longer holds true inside. Maybe the exhaustion comes from clinging to what no longer represents you. Maybe your soul is begging for authenticity, yet you're still trying to fit into old versions of yourself. And yes, the space between who you were and who you're becoming can feel uncomfortable, because it is a place of passage. The old no longer fits, the new hasn't fully arrived. It's the fertile void where everything is preparing, but nothing has yet bloomed. Yet even in the absence of certainty, something subtle is moving. Your perception is shifting, your sensitivity is sharpening, your longing for truth is deepening, and all of this signals that something profound is being born. You are not regressing, you are realigning, and to do so, you must move through this in-between space with gentleness, not with haste, but with presence. Because it's here, in this quiet inner space, that you begin to remember, not who the world expected you to be, but who you truly are. It's only natural that, in the midst of your most intimate transition, the world around you may seem out of sync. While you're dissolving from within, others continue to demand the same version of you. They expect your productivity, your smile, your availability, but they don't see that inside, you're moving through an invisible transformation, the kind that can't be explained in words, yet shifts everything about the way you live. You might feel out of place among your own. You may seem more sensitive, more introspective, quieter, and to many, that looks like weakness. As if you're fading, as if something is wrong. But what's really happening is the opposite. You're finding yourself. You're done pretending. You're shedding layers that were never truly yours. And for those who live numb to their own truth, that can be terrifying. Society praises control, consistency, armor, but your soul longs for truth, for vulnerability, for freedom. And not everyone is ready to witness someone break the mold. Not everyone knows how to handle someone who chooses to feel deeply, so they may try to shrink you, convince you you're being too much, remind you of who you used to be, when in truth, that version no longer exists. Resist the urge to shrink in order to please. Don't dim your light just to fit in. Don't silence your pain just because it makes others uncomfortable. Because it's precisely in this fragile phase that your soul is becoming stronger. You are moving through the cocoon, letting go of old structures so something lighter, more authentic can emerge. And yes, the cocoon is a lonely place, a dark place, a misunderstood place, but it's also where silent magic unfolds. You are not broken, you are in transition, and every tear that falls, every heavy thought, every aching silence, it's all part of the crossing. The butterfly didn't emerge because it wanted to. It emerged because it could no longer remain a caterpillar. And the same is true for you. Something more honest, more whole, is ready to take flight. But first, the process must be honored, even if the world doesn't understand, even if no one else sees it, because what's transforming within you isn't meant to be understood by others. It's meant to be lived by you. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize this was the most sacred cycle of your life. Not every day will be clear. Not every moment will bring answers. And there are seasons when the heart feels like it's walking through a fog, where everything is uncertain, where nothing seems to fit. In these moments, the mind wants to analyze, to control, to rush. But what the soul longs for is acceptance. Acceptance is not about giving up. It's about understanding that some processes cannot be rushed, that some healing takes time, that some pain is simply pointing to the places within us where love is still missing. And maybe, right now, that's where you are, in a space of pause, a space of invisible rebuilding, a space where the old no longer works and the new is quietly taking root. You don't need to be anywhere else. You don't need to be someone different. You don't need to understand it all right now. What you need is to breathe honestly, right where you are, without masks, without haste, without pretending, to allow yourself to be exactly as you are, with your confusion, with your sensitivity, with your slower pace. Life moves even on gray days. Roots grow in the dark, seeds break open in silence. And that's the kind of transformation no one sees. But it's what makes all future blooming possible. If today you feel like you're in pieces, maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're being rearranged from within, in a way only time can understand. Embrace your imperfection. Embrace your pauses. Embrace even your resistance. Because when you welcome what is, without rejection, you begin to make space for what can be. And that space, that fertile emptiness, is where rebirth lives. Don't pressure yourself to bloom quickly. Honor your seasons. The soul has winters too. And it's the winters that make spring possible. To accept the now with tenderness is the most revolutionary act you can offer yourself. Because it is from acceptance that true transformation is born. There's a voice that walks with you at all times. It whispers as you wake, as you glance in the mirror, as you try to do what needs to be done. But this voice isn't always kind. Often, it repeats words you once heard from others, words you've unknowingly made your own. And without realizing it, you begin treating yourself with the same harshness that once wounded you. The way you speak to yourself either builds or drains your vital energy. It's as if every word you think carves itself into your body, shaping the rhythm of your vibration. And when you say, "I'm a failure," your body listens. When you think, "I can't handle this," your entire system tightens. But the opposite is also true. When you choose to say, "I'm rebuilding," something begins to realign within you. When you affirm, "I'm learning to love myself," the energy around you begins to soften. Science has already shown us thoughts are not neutral. They carry weight. They carry frequency. They directly impact your biology and the energetic field you emit. Dr. Bruce Lipton, through his research on epigenetics, revealed that the environment surrounding a cell, including its emotional environment, directly influences its function. And your body is made entirely of cells. Your field is made of vibration. Your reality is shaped, first and foremost, by what you believe about yourself. So pay attention, with presence. What phrases have you been repeating? What stories do you tell yourself when you're tired? What kind of inner dialogue do you feed when things go wrong? Change doesn't begin out there. It begins in how you treat yourself, in the tone you use when speaking to your own heart, in the words you choose to repeat every single day. You can continue to feed scarcity, self-criticism, and comparison. Or you can start planting new seeds. Words that soothe you, that remind you of your humanness, that return your soul to its center. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. And that includes being kind to yourself when you fall, when you fail, when you feel small. Because that kindness is where healing begins. And in that new tone, more loving, more conscious, your inner voice stops being a judge and becomes a warm embrace. You didn't come into this world to meet everyone's expectations. You're not here to be invulnerable, endlessly productive, or constantly positive. Real life pulses at a different frequency. It moves through both light and shadow, laughter and pain, triumph and missteps. And recognizing that isn't failure. It's becoming human. Imperfection isn't a flaw to be fixed. It's a truth to be embraced. It's in those spaces where you can't hold it all together, where tears fall without reason, where you feel fragile even as you try to be strong, that your soul reveals itself most authentically. Because it's only when the armor falls that real love can enter, and true love cannot exist where there is only pressure. To be human is to be cyclical, to have days of fire and days where getting out of bed feels impossible, to crave everything and then suddenly feel empty, to make plans only to start again from scratch, to stumble in places that once felt safe and still, to continue with courage, with vulnerability, with presence. You don't have to prove your strength all the time, because real strength isn't about appearing unshakable. It lives in the quiet willingness to keep going, even while wounded, to try, even while afraid, to rise, even when every part of you wants to stop. That is courage. That is emotional integrity. That is resilience. Comparison pulls you away from your essence. The ideal of perfection traps you in unrealistic expectations. But imperfection brings you back to the present. It teaches you to breathe more gently. It allows you to be who you are, not who others expect you to be. Welcoming your humanity is how you make space for compassion. And compassion heals. It embraces the parts no one else sees. It restores ancient wounds. It lets you be light, even when everything feels dark. Because it's not the absence of flaws that defines your beauty. It's your willingness to keep going despite them. And that, in the end, is what brings you closest to your soul. There is a point within you where everything aligns. A quiet yet vibrant space that holds what truly moves you. This place cannot be found out there, nor does it reveal itself in response to the world's demands. It pulses within, like an ancient memory of who you came here to be before you shaped yourself into what others expected. The awakening now unfolding in your life is not random. It is a calling, a reminder that your existence is neither an accident nor an empty repetition. There is something in you, a sensitivity, a vision, a presence that only you can bring into this world. It's not about doing something grand. It's about living with truth, aligning your steps with what fills you from within, letting your soul lead where fear once made decisions. Your purpose is not a job title, a label, or recognition. It's a frequency. It's what you radiate when you're whole. It's what unfolds when you stop sabotaging yourself and begin to trust. Trust your timing, trust your gifts, trust that you're not behind, you're in the making. Maybe you can't yet name what you're here to do, but you feel it. You feel that certain pains prepared you, that certain losses emptied you so something new could be born, that certain encounters mirrored what your soul needed to remember. Everything, absolutely everything brought you here. Even what felt like ruin was foundation. It's time to release what weighs you down, not to escape, but to make space. The harsh self-judgment, the need for control, the patterns of self-abandonment. They only block the expression of your essence. And your essence is what matters most now, because the world doesn't need more replicas. It needs awakened souls, people who live what they teach, who feel what they speak, who touch others with presence and truth. Your purpose begins the moment you stop running from yourself and choose to walk toward who you truly are, even if you're scared, even if you have no map, because every step taken in alignment brings you closer to that sacred place where everything finally makes sense, where you no longer need to pretend, where being yourself is enough, where living becomes a prayer. Now breathe with presence. Let the air enter slowly, as if it were a sacred guest. Feel your lungs expand. Hold for a brief moment. And as you exhale, imagine releasing everything that no longer serves you. Every tension, every demand, every thought that keeps insisting you're not enough. Once more, inhale gently, hold, release, and allow your body to surrender to this moment. As your breath flows, bring your awareness to your center. You may not know exactly where it is, but trust. Your soul knows, and it listens to what you say. Now, repeat silently, or in a soft whisper if you prefer. I honor my process. The pace doesn't matter. The shape doesn't matter. Something within me is being rearranged, and I choose to honor it. I am whole, even in pieces. My light doesn't go out when I'm tired. It simply learns to shine in a different way. I am awakening to my truth. And even if that truth is still wrapped in silence, it is alive, it is present, it is growing within me. My truth is more beautiful than I ever imagined, because it doesn't come from striving, it blooms from acceptance. Stay in this state for a few more moments, feeling, breathing, allowing these words to take root in your inner field like seeds ready to bloom. There is no rush, only presence. And it is this presence that transforms everything. Lord of life, in this moment, as silence draws near, I turn my heart to you, not in haste, not with rehearsed words, but with truth, with wholeness, with empty hands and a soul laid bare. You know what lives inside me. You know the confusion that sometimes visits, the weight I carry without knowing how to name it, the days when everything feels too much, and I feel like I'm not enough. But today, with humility, I recognize I am not broken. I am in transition. This weariness that bends me is also a sign that something is being healed. This doubt that unsettles me is also an invitation to surrender. Restore my faith, Lord, so I don't mistake fatigue for failure, transformation for loss, change for being lost. Awaken in me the courage to keep going without guarantees. Teach me to trust the pauses, the silences, the paths where only your light can reach. Help me release what no longer resonates with my soul, to let go of what only feeds fear, to quiet the inner voices that tell me I'm unworthy, that I must always be more, do more, please more. No, today I choose to be. I choose to stay. I choose to breathe. Align my heart with what is true, Lord. Protect my sensitivity so it's not a burden, but a gift. Illuminate my thoughts so I don't lose myself in the stories of the past. And at the end of this day, may I look back and say, I chose myself, and that was enough. Amen. Now, take one more deep breath. Feel your body a little lighter, even if just for a moment. Feel your soul a little more present, even if still wrapped in silence. You made it here, you stayed, you listened, you felt. And that alone is already a miracle. Not every day brings answers, not every morning arrives with clarity, but when you choose to stay with yourself, even in the midst of confusion, something within you begins to realign. The soul listens, the heart awakens, and life, gently, begins to open again. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are returning home, and that home is you. You are the place where everything can begin again, where everything can be redefined, where pain finds compassion and shadows find light. Your very existence is a gift to this world, even if the world doesn't yet know how to recognize it. Stay loyal to this silent commitment with your truth. Choose yourself again, even when it feels hard. Remember, the journey isn't linear, but it is sacred. If something in this video touched you, let it be a reminder that your soul is alive, aware, awakening. Maybe someone around you needs to hear these words too. Maybe someone you love is feeling lost, thinking they're broken, when in truth, they're simply awakening. May you be a bridge. May you be a presence. And above all, may you continue to be faithful to yourself. Tomorrow the path continues, but today you chose yourself. And that was enough. Type in the comments, I choose my process to seal this sacred decision to awaken.